welcome to a very special edition of Online. I'm Alan Secher, and with me is Patricia Erens, noted film critic, noted author, instructor, and good buddy to boot. And also with me is Michael Kutza. Michael is the founder and the artistic director of the Chicago International Film Festival, and the Chicago International Film Festival has been around for 25 years. Michael, what's a Chicago International Film Festival?
Good question. It's a bringing together of about 40 countries and their best films and their directing talent to Chicago, and letting the public have a chance to come and meet them and see what's going on.
You mean we see the premiere films from 40 different, are they new films?
Yes, they're brand new films. Tend to be so new, in fact, that the subtitles have just been put on and they're erased here from the country with the director, and we allow the public to meet the talent that makes the movies, and it becomes a really nice, casual, cultural experience, cultural and educational experience.
And in most cases, it's that these films is the first time they're being seen in this country?
Yes, it tends to be the North American premieres and sometimes the world premiere of the films.
Well, Patricia, we have a film to talk about.
Representative of how new and how wonderful the films can be is a film directed by Menachem Golan, which is based on the life of a woman named Hannah Senesh. Hannah, of course, was a heroine that every Jew and Jewish student in Sunday school knows very well. She was a young Hungarian and emigrated in the early days to Palestine, fought with the RAF, and eventually died in Hungary at the hands of the collaborators with the Nazis, died a heroine at the age of 22. And we're going to see a clip right now from the early days when she was still a student in Budapest. And now we'll take a look at the clip from Hannah's War.
Senesh Aniko, 85 votes. By a majority of 41 votes, and for the second year running, I declare Aniko Senesh Secretary of our Literary Society.
Do you have an acceptance speech? Yes. Then go ahead.
Members of the Literary Society.
Professor Ravas, just a minute. I've overlooked an important regulation concerning eligibility.
What regulation?
The new board has decreed that only Christians may be elected to important positions in Hungarian institutions, and Senesh Aniko is a Jew.
Well, say something.
What can I say?
Well, you're the president, aren't you?
I'm sorry, Annika.
Aniko, please.
I withdraw my nomination.
This is the start of the trauma of Hannah Senesh. She is a very positive Jew. She says, I've got to leave. I can't stand it here anymore. This is early Germany. And there's a tie-in that we see near the beginning of the film wherein the fellow who had made the announcement claimed to be her first love, her real love, her honest love, and then you later see him in a green shirt as he's marching with the young green shirts in Hungary. Hannah then goes off, just in the sense of telling the story, because she was a heroine. For those that don't recognize the name Hannah Senesh, perhaps they do recognize the song, "O Lord my God, I pray that these never end, the sand and the sea, the rush of the waters," sung by every kid in every single youth group and in every single camp in the country. That's a Hannah Senesh song. And there's there's everything one could want in this film.
Right. Well, what amazes me is she died at age 22, and what this young woman accomplished in 22 years. She was a poet. She left her home, which, I mean, our kids today can't separate at age 25. She goes off by herself to Palestine. She fights. I mean, she's in a uniform. She's trained by the RAF. I mean, it's just truly amazing. And then has the courage to go back to Hungary because she wants to help establish an underground. It's truly amazing.
Michael, this is done by one of the majors in this country.
Well, it's done by a very interesting man, actually, an interesting company in the motion picture business, and that's Menachem Golan, which is a Canon film, which is a story in itself, and someday we'll be sitting here talking about a movie probably made about those two guys, Menachem Golan and Yoram Globus, and how they've turned the industry upside down. Menachem directs sometimes, and this is one of his epic films of something he feels very close to. It's an action movie, and it's also quite commercial, and it's star-studded as well as the theme and the story you're speaking of. It's an entertainment, piece of entertainment that also touches the story.
Well, this was shot, I believe, in Hungary.
Budapest, and the action stuff, I didn't pay attention to where he really shot all of that.
In Budapest.
Even the action.
Oh, well, that I don't know, but he did go back to Hungary to shoot
the
part
Rambo
of it.
scenes, I don't know where he shot
Yeah.
all that. He does become
that's
a
probably
bit
Israel.
Rambo-esque.
Yeah.
She certainly does.
Well, he shot in Israel, too.
Was it Israel?
Yes, he did
Okay.
shoot there.
He had studios there.
Yeah.
So.
He has studios, and it takes place, some of it takes place on the shores of the Mediterranean, and I think he did shoot that. I find it a little interesting. Ben Gurion even appears in the film.
The girl's mother is Ellen Burstyn, which...
and that's heavy.
Yeah.
She's
quite good, actually.
I think the world has much admired Hannah Senich, and that if you want to see the film, and we want to let you know where you can see the film, since this is running during the course of the week of the film festival, you can see it on both the 3rd and the 5th, and it's taking place at the at the University of Chicago. It's taking
and
place,
the Music Box
and then
Theater.
at the Music Box.
Right.
And what we're going to do in the course of the tape, in the course of this show, we're going to put up a number every once in a while, so that if people want to find out, because there are 5 films altogether of Jewish interest. So if people want to find out what's happening, and I certainly urge people to not just see these, but to see the whole host of, how many films are there altogether, Michael?
There are about 120 separate events, 90 separate feature films, all premiering, and most of them are repeated twice, so you have a chance to just check them out twice. And we're in many locations. We open at the Chicago Theater, the Biograph Theater, the Music Box Theater, and this year we're also going to be at the Three Penny Cinema, and the University of Chicago has built a brand new theater. We'll be out there on the campus in Hyde Park.
Well, you can overdose on film in a 2-week period of time.
I also recommend that everybody get a schedule.
Yeah, well, that's how you, without the program.
Without the program, you don't know the players. But
and if you call, if you call the 944, it's 944 film, I think.
644.
644.
644.
Well, okay.
We'll send you a schedule.
We'll send the schedule, because sitting here with it on my lap, it goes on forever and ever.
It does.
Let's talk about maybe some other films that are part of the festival as well.
Well, I was fascinated that there were 2 films of Jewish content that came from West Germany. And little by little, the German filmmakers have begun to deal with the Holocaust. Actually, they've done that since the showing of the American film Holocaust played on television there, and evidently just opened the country. And young people began looking at the history books and saying, how come we didn't know more about this? And everybody began to want to see and hear and read more about it. But there are 2 films this year, and they both deal with the Nazi period and what happened to the Jews and how this has affected the 40 years since the war.
Are we seeing a trend that a goodly portion of the West German films that you've picked, Michael, are about the Holocaust? Or is that something that's happening in West Germany?
Last several years we have been, haven't we? It is happening in the country, yes.
It is. Is it suddenly the country is feeling a sense of guilt?
Well, we have a new set of directors now in Germany.
I don't think it's
all
guilt.
New directors.
No?
The people making the films weren't
No, they
hardly
were not.
alive.
They weren't even born.
Right.
These are young directors today. Whole new crop of directors.
Well, and the director, we've seen one of the 2 films. We've seen Welcome to Germany,
Right.
which is first of all, it's a heavy-duty film.
Curious idea, isn't it?
It is.
It's a reenactment of an episode that actually took place, making anti-Semitic films in the 40s, using Jews from the concentration camps as the actors and telling them that they're going to be free after they finish making the film.
In the propaganda for, in the publicity, can use propaganda, that's negative, in the publicity for the film, Welcome to Germany, which incidentally stars Tony Curtis, of all things.
Why do you say
Yeah,
of
why do you
all
say that?
things?
What does that
'Cause it's
mean?
hard
Wait
to
a minute.
imagine Tony Curtis in a heavy role, but he does I thought he did a wonderful job.
Well, I think it was perfect to have Tony Curtis in that role as a Jewish American actor who is prominently known as being Jewish and involved with Hollywood. He plays himself almost.
Almost.
Just about. That's true. He does play himself. When the director, I noticed, is a Jew. The director,
Thomas Brasch, is it Brasch?
yes, Brasch,
Brasch.
and is a Jew. And if I read between the lines, his family escaped to England during the war and came back in '47 to Germany. But he's a young German director, and I really think he did a wonderful job in the film. And apropos of something you mentioned before, the publicity says that it quotes Goebbels.
Right.
And
Yes.
Goebbels had a memo about a film, a very anti-Semitic film, Jude Sus, that was done, which used Jewish actors. And that was something I didn't know, that there was such a thing.
But there was also the famous case in which they took film crews to Theresienstadt, and they made a film there to show how wonderful it was. This was the model camp.
I remember that,
And how
yes,
well
yes.
people were treated, and then they were going to show that to the Red Cross.
That was called
they-
the city that Hitler gave to the Jews.
Right, right. So the Nazis were pretty cagey there. I mean, they thought of every way that they could make propaganda.
Well, in the course of this film, this is layer upon layer of material where Curtis plays someone who was in a film.
Well, I don't think we should give it away, because I think that part of seeing this film is that you keep uncovering and discovering new information.
Okay.
And it twists and it turns. And so for anyone out there who may be wanting to see it, we don't want to give away too much information.
All right, well, can I give away when it's
tell us
going to
when
be
it is,
seen?
Yes, yes,
Right,
yes.
I
When
can
it
do
is.
that.
We can say he's an American film director who comes to Germany to make a film.
Okay.
Okay.
You
Right.
can see it on the 29th at the Biograph at 7 o'clock.
Right.
And
Well worth seeing.
it is very well worth seeing. Now, there's a new film, a new German film, Michael, that also opens, Martha Jelnik.
This is so new that even we broke our own rules, and we haven't seen it.
You haven't seen
We
it?
invited it sight unseen because it was sort of a monumental idea that this Nazi actress is coming back to the screen after
40 years.
40 years. And have you read up on this thing? Have you
Yes,
looked
of
into
course
it?
I've
All right,
read
we
up
get
on
into
it.
Well, I will read.
We have advisors in each country that help us find the movies, and they highly recommended that we
that you
show
show
it
this.
first and have the premiere.
And that
So it's a world premiere.
Yeah.
It's opening here.
what this says, and I'll read the PR. Martha Jelnik is a lonely old woman who meets a former Nazi officer with the same name as her brother, Franz Laub. Her brother witnessed the officer murdering a child and was himself killed in the war. When Martha invites the officer to lunch, an erotic series of events unfolds. The film is a remarkable comeback for Heide Mary Hathayer, a famous film actress during the Nazi regime who returns to the screen after 25 years. That's a heavy, too, for someone to come back after that. And I wonder, I will be curious as to the reaction here as well. Now, there are a couple other films. And Shoot and Cry is a Canadian film. And Shoot and Cry is...
A documentary.
Is a documentary.
Right, right.
And that's a documentary about relationships between
Arabs
Israelis
and
Arabs and Jews.
Right.
And that, I too want to mention that, because I want to encourage people to make sure to
Well, this
come.
film is like up to the minute. I mean, it deals with everything that's happening right now. It was shot in Haifa, if I understand correctly.
Yes.
And everyone pretty much gets to speak from the heart, and their emotions are very rawly depicted. So
This is at Chicago,
University of Chicago.
the University of Chicago, on the 2nd And then on the 6th again, it's at the Music Box. So that, do see it. Now, I guess when I was thinking about films, I guess maybe Horwitz Plays Mozart might be a Jewish film.
Of course.
He's a nice Jewish boy.
Everything counts.
Everything counts. What about opening night?
Opening night is the North American premiere of a first feature film, brand new director named Andrew Birkin. The film is called Burning Secret. It stars Faye Dunaway and Klaus Maria Brandauer. It's a very moody, elegant little movie shot in Marienbad, Czechoslovakia, about the indiscretions of a woman without her husband, meeting a baron, and her son interacting with this whole situation. It's a loss of innocence. It's a beautiful movie, and a lot of stars will be coming in. Now, opening night is a big hoopla, glitz and glamour kind of thing, and we reopen the Chicago Theater for this. This is Monday night, October 24. We do a Hollywood premiere.
Now, would this be seen as the major film of the...
This is the official opening of the festival, and it is, yes, it is a major movie for Faye Dunaway coming back to the screen as well. She's coming back from a long hiatus, and with Barfly is her first one back, isn't it? A long, long time. Klaus Maria Brandauer, this is his newest film since Out of Africa. Good performance, new director, and that's part of the purpose of the festival. We discover directors. We look for directors that are making their first film. This is a pretty impressive first film.
And you've had a long list of directors that have gone
20
on to
odd
have
years,
incredible
we've
careers.
discovered a lot of talent.
I think of Machiavelli, for one. I mean,
Yeah.
but that you must know
It goes all the way back to Martin Scorsese and
Mean Streets.
way before Mean Streets.
Who's That
back
Knocking on
in-
My Door?
Exactly,
Right.
back to '66.
Right.
And Michael Apted and so many people over the years. Yeah, we'll talk about that next year.
And these are all juried, though. I mean, someone will look at all the films.
We have
that
an
are entered.
international jury that looks at the films that are in competition and gives them prizes as well. That's another aspect of the festival. But the Chicago Theater premiere of Burning Secret will be a big event for Chicago.
It will. So now, would there be, although this will run in the course of the week after the opening, but it'll also run a little bit before, would there still be available tickets if somebody wanted to go in?
Sure.
And how does one get tickets to all the big events here?
You call 644-FILM and you find out where the theaters are and where to get a schedule and all of that. If you want to buy tickets to the festival, we have another phone number. These numbers get confusing, though.
Okay.
281-CIFF, Chicago International Film Festival.
I recommend that people do buy tickets ahead, though, because I've come down and sometimes the audience will be very excited and you know, certain films catch and you can't get a seat. So, I mean, it's always better.
Weekends do tend to get crowded,
Yeah.
and the films are shown twice this year. We're giving you a second chance to see the movies, which the public has asked us to do, and we are. Critics wanted it that way, too.
Yeah. We're going to talk about an Israeli film in just a minute, but I do want to say last year when you showed Summer Blues, that they were fighting to get in.
Is that right?
I did not get a ticket in advance, and I got there, and they were just, it was unbelievable.
It's a
So
fun movie.
I think it's good for people to call ahead.
Is it particularly that we get large crowds for the Jewish
Well, I was
films
going
at
to
the film
ask
festival?
you, I mean, I think the Israeli audience always shows up for their films. That's my impression. I mean, do you find that different
Over
from
any other
country?
Well, you know, we are a melting pot. You've got 40 countries. I bet you the Koreans. I've seen bigger crowds of fighting Koreans than I have.
Really? Well, I
hate to tell you.
go to more Israeli films than Korean films. All right, well, that's
Although
good.
in the early days, I'll
should be
tell
that
you, when
way.
I was a bit more naive in programming the festival, yes, I did things like the Egyptian film was at 6:30, followed by the Israeli film at 8:30. And
Oh,
I had
well,
to
that
have
was
the police,
naive.
very dumb things like that. You learn along the way. The security bills those years were horrendous.
Well, I do think that maybe just the whole idea of watching it in your native language does make a difference.
And it's the first time. I mean, you won't be able to see these films again. The majority of the films you're seeing here, and that's it. They may never come back to Chicago.
That's true.
As theaters change in this town, are torn down and become more commercial and commercial, you're going to see less of this specialized
Less foreign
material.
films and less.
And
I
less
mean, everything's
English,
coming
you know,
dubbed now.
subtitle. It's all dubbed
So it's
or
going to be
in English.
Yeah,
Is
we could do a whole program
every
on that.
every year
Exactly.
are there Israeli films?
If they're good ones, we have them. If they're not, we pass them by.
Because on some occasions I have some qualms about Israeli films. They're not always good.
I think the next one you're going to talk about, which is one of my favorites, I think is a superb film, and it's also a director we discovered.
Well,
I
that's
feel,
a perfect
I feel close.
introduction.
I feel close to that film, actually.
It's a film I like very much, so I have no problem introducing it. It's a film called Hemo, King of Jerusalem, and it's a film that takes place in 48 when Jerusalem is under siege, just prior to the declaration of the state, and it takes place in a monastery, and that in the framework of the monastery, a woman comes who serves as a nurse. We're not sure if she's been an official nurse, but her fiancé had just recently been killed, and she is given the toughest route of some severely wounded people when they're put into the bell room of the monastery, and that she takes a particular liking in the film to a severely damaged person who has lost limbs, who speaks only 2 words, and the 2 words are really shoot me, get me out of this misery. It's a film that I really liked. I found very heavy, and the clip we're going to see is a clip from the time where she pays so much attention to this man that the other patients keep saying to her, marry him, give him some feeling. Very reminiscent of Johnny Got His Gun, the Dalton Trumbo piece. Marry him, and then they really mock her by setting up a chuppah, a wedding canopy. And that's what we're about to see. So let's take a look at a clip from Hemo, King of Jerusalem.
אתה אפס פחדן, פרנג'י.
תראי, אני הייתי איתו בקרב שהוא הלך. אני זרקתי אבנים בעורבים שלא יכלו לו את העיניים שלו שכבר היו בחוץ. העורבים ירדו עלינו ואני צעקתי קישטה. יאללה קישטה! וזרקתי אבנים עד שבאו להציל אותו. אבל את מה הצילו? את מה? הכל מה שהיה שווה הלך עם הכלבים. עכשיו הצ'אנס שלנו שהוא יתחתן.
פרנג'י הוא שומר אותך.
לא, ככה המצב. יש כדור בפרבלון של מרקו ויש את. יש לו כדור או את. אז זהו שיתחתן וייתן לנו לחיות בשקט. טוב מה?
מה שאתה רוצה.
אז תחתני איתו.
אנג'י, די.
אני יותר אוהב את חימו פרח ממך. ואני הכרתי אותו לא רק מתי שנהיה גולם, אלא גם מתי שהיה חימו. מלך ירושלים.
היי, פרנג'י! פרנג'י, אתה שומע אותי? זה יוסף מדבר.
מה?
בן גוריון אמר ברדיו שיש מדינה. מדינת ישראל.
מדינת ישראל זה בתל אביב. פה יש מצור. בשביל זה קראת לי.
What's interesting about this film is it's not so much the suffering of the victims, but what the suffering of certain of the soldiers, what effect that has on the others, the girl in particular. I think that the psychological level of this film is just fascinating. I know, Michael, that you are very fond of this.
It actually was the very first film I selected for this year's festival.
Really?
I saw it in Berlin in a little market showing, and I realized, my God, Amos Gutmann. We discovered Amos, we were saying about, what, 6 years ago or so, with his very first film in Chicago. It was also an American premiere, and now this is his 3rd film. And he's grown a lot. You can see how he's grown.
Well, it's interesting to compare it also with the films we're now seeing on Vietnam, or that we've seen in the last few years.
This is a timeless piece, and when you mention 1948, it could be today. It could be any war, anywhere, It's a heavy movie and beautifully acted by the top actors today, the top young actors of Israel.
And she's lovely, yeah, really.
She is lovely, and I think the film flowed very easily.
Yeah.
And that I did think that they did a touch of Johnny Got His Gun, but it becomes so what? It's the relating to the suffering and the other patients are just, you sit there and you shake.
Now Amos will be here. He's the director of the film, and the audiences will meet him afterward and talk about the film,
ask questions,
the country, everything. It's the nicest part. Our theme for the festival is that it's more than a movie. You just don't buy a ticket to the movie when you come to the film festival. You meet the talent. You meet the people. You talk to them for hours afterwards.
In the past, have there been any Israeli films that have won some prizes?
Yes, but you just can't ask me after
No.
all these 20 years. Yes, there have been many.
No, just
Late Summer Blues got the Best Audience Award last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's
Years
why I
ago-
couldn't get in.
Years ago, Gila Almagor won a prize for acting, I know.
Yeah.
But I don't remember what film it is now. And way back, a young director who gave up directing and became a rabbi.
Oh,
And what was
yes,
his name?
yes, I remember. Yes, I do know.
Madman. He was wonderful.
Oh, yes, he was. He did.
He found God.
He did Peeping Tom. He did a film called
Gila
Peeping.
Almagor, by the way, has just done a new film
Yes, and she's
about
coming,
her life.
and she's premiering it here next year. It's
She
already
is.
blocked in.
It's already blocked in,
Already
and I'm
blocked in.
told by somebody who has seen, there's some rushes, there's some rough cuts, that it's a wonderful
She
film.
premiered it at the Jerusalem Festival, and we saw it and invited it for her. She's going to Cannes with it, Cannes Film Festival, and then she wants to come to Chicago.
So Israel is, in essence, doing some pretty good films.
In between everything else, it's got a little time to make one or two. One or two a year.
Well, in many cases, the Israel Film Group has just risen and gotten better and turning out.
Oh, the quality of films has immensely improved in the last 5-6 years.
Yuri Zohar.
That's
That
correct.
was his name,
Yes,
Yuri
I was going
Zohar,
to think, could I find it?
1968.
Yuri Zohar, terrific.
He did a film
yeah.
on the war.
Yeah.
Seven-day war, 6-day war.
Now,
what was it?
in our last minute, and by the way, we want to make sure that they know about HEMO. It's at the University of Chicago on the 30th, and on the 31st, it's at the Biograph. So that people are going to want to.
The director will be at both performances.
At both
Yes,
performances,
yes.
and available to.
Afterwards, to the audience.
That's terrific. That's a
Well worth seeing the film.
Michael, it's been a very
Thank you
fast
for-
half
Good to
hour
see
with
you.
you. And that, I'm just pleased as punch that we were able to share all kinds
you.
of ideas and thoughts. I hope we put up the phone number again, 644 film. And it's a way to find out, and I absolutely urge people to make sure to see the film. So, Patricia, I
I'll
thank
see you on the next
We'll
program.
see each other again. And Michael,
Thank you,
big
Alan.
success
Thank you, Alan.
for the next 25 years. And thank you for being with us. Thank you all. Till the very next time, bye now.